It's the 4th of November and I'm Tom Glass and welcome to The Roast. Well, it was Melbourne Cup today and they say the easiest way to double your money is to fold it over and put it back in your pocket. But they're fools! The easiest way is to bet it all on a horse you know nothing about in a sport you don't watch controlled by an industry you don't understand. Seaton!
Yeah.
Put all my money on the Melbourne Cup.
But it's over. You're an idiot.
Oh, are they the favourites? What great names. Now it is sit back and wait for the money to roll on in. You see, the bookie tried to stop me on account of the race already being over, but I persisted because I know that when I've been scratched, I perform at my peak. Anyway, here's Mark Humphries with the headlines. Seaton, scratch me. Oh, this is going to be a good show.
George Brandis, Attorney General and Team Australia dummy half, was on ABC's Q&A program last night. Mr Brandis faced the audience alone, and if this lady is to be believed, he went down a treat.
For the benefit of your community.
Mr Brandis used the opportunity to talk about Tony Abbott's mouth.
Team Australia, from the mouth of Tony Abbott, is a word of inclusion. It is a word of inclusion.
I'm with you, George. I've only ever heard Tony Abbott use Team Australia in an inclusive sense.
Don't migrate unless you want to join our team. Abbott meets Islamic community.
Brandis also shed light on just how fond Tony Abbott is of the word team.
The way in which he collectively addresses his cabinet colleagues. He'll sit down at a cabinet meeting in the morning and he'll say, now team, it's his favourite collective noun.
In case you're not clear on what a collective noun is, it's things like a class of students, a crew of sailors, a bunch of wankers. Offhand, I can't think what the collective noun for the Abbott government is, but I'm sure one of those could work. Host Tony Jones also questioned Brandis's plan to declare certain foreign locations no-go zones, where Australian citizens won't be able to travel.
Are you worried you'll end up as a sort of glorified travel agent having to approve whether someone goes to X country or Y country?
So, you want to go to Turkey, huh?
Yeah, for a holiday.
Not going to go into Syria to join ISIS, are you?
No.
Terrorist says what? Very good! But good on you for putting yourself out there, George, and it's paying off. You're getting rave reviews.
Congratulations, Attorney General. You stood your ground. Strength, courage, leadership, I applaud you.
And after impressing Jackie Lambie, George Brandis never spoke again. Environment Minister Greg Hunt, seen here jumping on the environment like it's a bouncy castle, has responded to the latest report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
I welcome the latest report from the IPCC. I think it's an important contribution to the information in this space.
And I believe we have footage of Mr Hunt carefully going over that report. The Sydney to Hobart, the race that doesn't stop a nation, will require 3 separate starting lines to accommodate this year's large number of entries. As for the finishing line, I understand Wild Oats 11 has already crossed it. And finally, today is Tony Abbott's birthday. Judging by these pictures, he's turning 11 years old. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. I promised Tony I was going to get him a present, but then I thought, what could be more appropriate than breaking that promise? Well, today was the Melbourne Cup, and as predicted, the nation stopped. Thankfully, a doctor was on hand with smelling salts and a massive defibrillator and was able to kickstart the old girl up again so that we could bet away all of our money. And today's Melbourne Cup was a pageant of champagne breakfasts, drinks with friends, and giant animals getting a good whooping. Because as the recent performances by our swimmers have shown, if you don't repeatedly whip things, they just won't go fast enough. All we need is a tiny wet jockey to sit on those swimmers' backs and I think they'll get there. I'm looking at you, me. And for more on horse racing, the sport that just wouldn't work the other way round, let's turn to Roast Breakfast with Clark and Alex to see how they covered the big day.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just whip my leg off, and that's how I get off a horse. It's the race that stops a nation, and it's on today, and boy, are we excited.
Clark, do you know my favourite thing about the Melbourne Cup?
Is it stumbling around barefoot and screaming for a taxi?
The dresses. So earlier today, I went out to see all the fashion at Australia's home of racing.
Now in red Cadeau and Simon on race.
And would you take a look at the fashionistas we have with us today? Now, what a lovely ensemble you've got here. Will you give us a little twirl? Look at that. And that is a lovely pocket square. As today's the one day it's socially acceptable to gamble. Maybe just one more flutter for the gentleman.
I've already fluttered away the whole house, so...
It's where our nation comes together for a bit of fun. Our very own Fashions in the Field.
Ah, yes. If only some of those fine fillies would take a gamble on a morning talk show host. Now, show us your flank, you big show, Tony.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, she's taking a stumble out of the gates.
I think I'm going to sprain something.
Oh, well, it's the moment all of us hate to see on race day.
Clark, what are you doing? No, please, it's just a sprained ankle.
Sleep well, old girl. You'll have all the sugar cubes you can suck where you're going.
This just in, roast breakfast will not be coming back next year. Turns out the world just wasn't ready for a 24-hour breakfast show. We'll be right back.
Have you ever won money in a sweepstakes at work? When Jeff from accounts pulled out the favourite, were you like, trust Jeff to get the favourite? He always gets the favourite. Did you shoot Jeff in the face? We'd love to hear about it. At the Roast TV or hashtag Roast TV.
Well, we've still got a couple of minutes, so stolen antiquities. What's probably the name of a racehorse is also a scandal involving the National Gallery of Australia and an 1800-year-old sandstone Buddha, seen here saying, "Sup," with a hella case of high beams. It's alleged the statue was taken from an archaeological site in Mathura, India, and then given an ownership history that was invented to cover its illicit origins before being purchased and brought to Australia. So the next time a dealer says, "It's a steal," perform a citizen's arrest. Honestly, it looks like times have really changed for your humble archaeologist turned antiquities hunter.
You're going to look really nice in an Australian gallery. I brought you this statue. It's the first time anyone's ever seen it in 1,000 years.
Well, good, good. And do you have the certificate of authenticity?
You're gonna look really nice in an Australian gallery.
Shit. Oh dear.
The latest stolen art scandal comes after the National Gallery earlier this year had to return a bronze statue that was allegedly looted from a temple in India. As for who looted the gold and silver statues, we're yet to find out. So it's starting to look like the National Gallery contains more stolen art than a Girl Talk song.
Tom, you don't get a great art collection without accepting a little stolen art. Just ask the National Gallery of Australia, or the British Museum, or the Louvre. You're never going to be the Louvre with that attitude, Tom. You think Napoleon got certificates of authenticity? No. He saw a bunch of pretty pictures all over Europe, and he took those pictures home, and he made them French, damn it. But if you're determined to stick by a bunch of pointless standards about proof of ownership and certificates of authenticity, then I'll just have to take my stolen art to someone who appreciates a good work of art, no matter where it came from. Hey, National Gallery of Australia, want to buy my art?
Well, that's it for tonight. I've got to swim at a ride hard and put away wet. So, good night. Ooh, my ankle, that really smarts. No, I'm fine.
Sleep easy, old girl.